Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Sunday night stream. The Drifters Atlas presents Ascension World Building. Zac and Thomas here.
Hello, guys.
No guest tonight. This is a catch-up stream where we go at a little bit slower pace and flesh out things a bit more gradually. Typically, um, it's typically a more cozy experience. So we're looking forward to it. Um,
For sure.
Couple of little side notes before we get started. Um, there won't be dungeon on Monday, but you can go back and check the video on demand of the dungeon live stream from the previous Monday if you'd like. Um, the next stream will be our regularly scheduled stream on Tuesday at 9 o'clock Central. Other than that, look out tomorrow, Monday. David Barentine, friend of the show, he's been on live as a guest once, and he's always in chat. It seems like, which is great. He has a Kickstarter going live tomorrow. It's called Player's Guide to Orianth. It's got player options. It's got a introduction to a campaign setting. It's a little zine, so I think he's going to be selling it for about 12 or 15 bucks. So reasonably priced, great art. He's got some maps in there. It's going to be an awesome product. So I'd highly encourage anybody in chat to check it out, and I can probably scrounge up a link to that um, and post it in chat here in a few minutes. Anything else we need to go over, Thomas, before we get
Yeah,
started?
there's another cool thing happening tomorrow. Our mini tier on Patreon starts.
Oh, yes.
So tomorrow, our mini tier starts for Patreon. Pictures will be posted right after this stream tonight on our Facebook page. And then at around, I think about midnight tonight, I don't know what time it switches over. We have to be careful because we don't want to charge people for technically the 31st and then again for the 1st.
Yeah.
So it might be tomorrow about noon, let's say Eastern time. We'll have that mini tier up and going, and we will be able to start shipping as soon as they get cranked out. We'll get them out to you before the end of June. And that mini tier for the first month. So anytime anyone subscribes to our mini tier, are going to get a bonus miniature. They're going to get the miniature, and they're going to get a small bottle of glue. It's going to look like this. Small bottle of Zapagap, which is really good on the resin prints. With the first couple months, we're going to do a Beholder Mini, which is just mean. It's super cool looking. And then for the month of June, we'll be doing a giant Druidic Owlbear, and then two PCs that you can use that we're going to have stat blocks for in our story.
Yep. So, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be really fun. I am really excited about that mini tier. And again, I think we're going to start off with 10 slots, so there's not going to be a whole lot. We'll see how long it takes to fill those, and then we'll go from there. But the goal is that we're not going to overload our printers so that we can make sure that we're kicking things out on time and that they look great and that everybody's happy. And we're going to make sure that that stays in effect going forward.
And the whole goal with that is hopefully that this takes off enough that we have for more slots in that mini tier, and we can get some bigger or better equipment that we can sort of take care of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal is yes, we're not going to be taking more than 10 right now, but our hope is that pretty soon we'll have another couple of printers and we can take on much more than that.
Absolutely. All right. Thomas, do you have anything that you want to dive into specifically?
I know we have one of the places that we still haven't done a ton with. We talked about it a little bit last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Is the tundra
Yes.
and the city and the Kraken and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where we need the most help, right?
Mm-hmm.
or we need the most information.
Yeah, Atheros starts tomorrow, and if you have any questions about it, um, feel free to message us on social media or
Twitch or Twitter. I know you and I are friends on Twitter, Athros. It's at Drifters Atlas, so it's super easy.
yeah.
Um, and we can go from there. The other thing is that we have gotten a couple writers, and with that, we'll probably need to stay away from Filigree and Stormtide Union until we have a little bit better idea, right?
Yep. So,
So once they get their sort of plot, we can go back and start talk a little bit about their plot and go from there. What we don't want to do is take a bunch of information from our watchers and then have it not be because our writers are on a different page.
yep. So writers have all our notes from the stream. A lot of them have been watching our stream, so they know exactly what they're going to be working with. But we don't want to dump a whole bunch of new information, especially in the next 2 weeks, because that's when they're going to be putting together outlines and pitching us those outlines. So I want them to have some a grace period, not having to keep up with stuff.
Yeah, and I'm super excited. Our writers are just, not only are they great people, but they make great product.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited.
Yep. 2 of them have been on stream or in the chat there. Hey David, how you doing? Catherine, or her handle here on Twitter is Sparkly or Eva Sparkles. She's one of our writers, and then the Dwarven DM himself, John Christian, is also writing for us. And then somebody else.
A couple others we really want to bring on, and we're working on that. So we have some great people who have some storied D&D past.
Mm-hmm.
To really give to us, so we're excited.
Yep. So
awesome! Congrats, David, on the fact that your Kickstarter goes live tomorrow. We were talking about that. You missed the beginning of the thing, but we were talking about you. But so we want to talk about the Tundra.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to go back to the city and see if we can etch out this?
I do. I'm happy with that. I had the idea for this mountain range in my head. So while we're kind of solidifying stuff, that would be a great place to start, I think. Yeah, David, we're really excited. And I told him we'll post a preview link in the chat here in a minute for people to tune in.
David's here. He himself.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to. If
go.
David could post a link to the Kickstarter, it'd be better than us posting that. But yeah, I'm excited about this town. We talked about the Suti coming along and being part of this sort of frozen ice town. Let's see about some of our notes just to go back over what we talked about. Mm-hmm. I know that it looks like we got 5 or 6 people in the chat. So we some of them might not have heard about the town.
Yeah. Give it a recap.
Yeah, so we don't have a name for this town, and you can see it right on the map, either underneath the golden dot there above the lake on the left-hand side, or right about where Zach's cursor is.
I'll zoom in a little bit for you.
The lake.
Yep.
We talked about some options of things that might be up there. We talked about the Hodag, the great wonderful Hodag, great northern owlbears, ice golems, frostbitten colossuses, and then we talked about the idea of like geothermal power coming from the lake and this firecracken being used to sort of run this city. So we talked about the firecracken has maybe it produces crystals that are used to power the city, but the Kraken is no longer making the crystals. We've talked about a few things, but we haven't really gone deep into the city.
No.
So
we haven't even named it. We have an idea maybe for a name, but we wanted to pitch it to you guys and see what you thought.
Let's do it. Why don't you tell them the name?
So I was thinking about it, and the name Tribune came to mind. Tribune. And I wondered what you guys thought of it. David's asking how big of a town is it? Speaking about bands of people around the countryside, but I don't remember much on the town.
I think that probably at one point it was a bigger town, and it has since lost some um, residents.
Yeah,
Lost some. I think it feels like a big town, but it's less populated than it feels like.
yeah, it's a dying town. Is
Mm-hmm.
that a better way of putting it? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think that's.
think that. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say. David says, so could it be like a western town that has a gold rush boom and is now starting to die away? Exactly. It's very much that. They had this resource, this firecracken gem resource that was really helping them create some marvelous industry, and as that has died, so has the town. Um, yeah, I think so, Atheros. I think it's like City of Tribune or Kingdom of Tribute, um, Tribune. Um, I think, David, that there's some idea. What chat kind of talked about before was that the Kraken stopped producing these gems when the gods fell. That the Kraken is in some way tied to the primordial elder deities that fell. And
We also
so,
talked about the fact that it could just be that the people were using Fibrum as a power base instead of the Kraken's gem because it was easier to come by to an extent.
mm-hmm.
And since we weren't they weren't taking these fire gems as much, the Kraken stopped producing them.
Yeah, that's also the possibility.
I mean, we didn't go deep into either of it. And we don't have really any kind of mechanics or gameplay on Fibrum being used as a power source like that anyway, but
We'll figure it out. Yeah,
I think the Kraken gems Atheros is definitely safer than
yeah, that's a good thought.
um,
Yeah,
because like the Fibrum, at least we know in humans or humanoids that the Fibrum becomes less and less powerful as you use it.
and then David's saying, and then there wasn't enough fibrum to keep up with production. I think that that's it, and also that it's not as like Atheros is saying that it's not as safe. It's more volatile. Um, so it ended up being not as stable as what they maybe hoped. It's also a thing where they're on the wrong end of the continent, right? For fibrum.
Yeah, they got a few pieces that were easy enough to come by through adventures or through purchasing or whatever, and they just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly, Atheros. And then David saying there could have been a large disaster that destroyed a large area of the town. I like that too. Like maybe some sort of like fibrum fusion machine blew up and destroyed a section. So not only because then you have that kind of like destroyed, abandoned feel of a city, even though it's not fully abandoned.
Well, we talked about these Sute living underground here. What if the city above ground is pretty destroyed, and these Sute are living underneath the ground in, like, built into the earth cities?
That's
so
cool.
maybe that this city is basically deserted, and they took it over as research or something. Because what we do know is the Sute are like science and study driven. They are intelligence driven race.
Yeah. Yeah, like Chernobyl, David. I like it's probably not like wiped and gone, but I like the like I think Yeah, like a disaster zone, Athros. Like it's a portion of the city, and I think that that's cool that like the Sati have largely gone underground, or probably were underground to some extent to begin with, but now even more so. And so the city above is, it'd be almost an interesting take. Like a lot of times in sci-fi settings, the higher you go, like whether it's to the moon or to the satellites or to a different planet or space stations or whatever, the more wealthy you are. Like leaving Earth symbolizes, a status rise. Um, and maybe there's an argument to be made that that the Sati is kind of different, where they're like, we're descending to get away from the city, and so the higher you are, the you're underneath you're underneath there. And the poor people or those of less status are stuck above in the ice. Yeah, you could also, man. That's also so. Athros is saying some of the workers of the Energy Central got contaminated, and that old part of the city is the disaster zone. Yep, exactly. The glass jaws could be a section of glass jaws here.
So there's like evil above ground.
Yeah, it's just not as safe.
Why would a civilized race choose to live underneath a city that wasn't as safe?
Maybe they're still, we talked last time about there's still a modicum of uh, Kraken gemstones to be harvested from the lake. They're not producing anymore, but the Kraken isn't producing any anymore. It's dormant. But you can go. You basically have divers that go and look in the muck and the mire for those that were missed beforehand.
Yeah, I think that part of their research, right, is because when I made up the Suti from the Fire Genasi, I made them a sort of an industrial, intelligent race that
Mm-hmm.
which cared more about learning than fighting.
Yeah.
So I think there's part of them that is trying to figure out what's going on with this kraken. Is it still alive? Is it still producing? Is it in hibernation? Is it what is going on here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kraken is the cure. David is suggesting that what if the Sati think that the Kraken is the key to curing the glass jaws above, which is interesting. Because yeah, that gives them one more reason to stay. Um, if they think that maybe there's a way there to restore their fallen countrymen.
Or just anybody even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, just finding a solution against the evil that is biofibrum in the wrong hands. Right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. If there's, let's see. David says somehow using the fire gems to purify the infection. Uh, if the Kraken stopped producing gems after the fall of the old god, they have to know that there is some connection to the gems and the fibrum. Yeah, I think that's true. That there's definitely a connection there if we look for it, and I think that that's what definitely what they're looking for.
There can be, but again, it could be like it's like vegetables, right? If you don't pick certain vegetables or fruits, the trees stop producing.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be the fact that it is literally just the fact that people were using these fire gems for so long and then stopped. So they weren't taking and using these fire gems, maybe that was a thing also.
Sure. Yeah, like
Again, I'm fine either way. I'm just
throwing things out there.
Throwing things out to see if they stick, basically. So, if the Kraken stop producing gems after the fall of the Old God, they have to. Okay, that's what you were just saying. So, he's in the lake. We have the fire gems. We have the Sute under the city, or in different parts of the city. And then we have what might be the populace of Glassjaws.
What if they know, David says, what if they know it's a cure, and now they're just trying to figure out a way to produce more gems? Maybe that's why they're staying. They're trying to figure out how to begin creating gems again. Yeah, if it's a very, very... I think the key there is limited resource. As long as it's limited, then I think that that's a fun idea.
I agree. For sure, I think that any time that, or figure out how to make it not limited anymore.
Right. And that goes back to what Athros was saying about evil and the climate were reasons to leave this area, but the gems were a better reason to stay. If they can find a way to do this cure, not only does it help them, but to restore their kinsmen, but they also now have something that's very, very, very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. If you could use the fire gems in a lot of the same ways as Fibrum, you would have something worth more than your entire city.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good idea for an adventure, Atheros, like helping recover intel in the disaster city gives the players a reason to go into the disaster city, and that could be a lot of fun.
One of the things, if we're talking about adventures now, just to hint at it, one of the things we're looking for is adventure from level 4 to level 6 or so in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're looking for a way to go from the Pirate Isles to Filigree.
Mm-hmm. This could
so be. If you had something that made sense in that area, you could really do something cool, and it would teach you more about Fibrum, and it would teach you more about Glassjaws.
Right. Maybe they've only partially recreated it, so it's very volatile to cure one, and then they must be working with Fibrum instead of gems, unless it's more unstable. Yeah, I think that you want to keep the gems. If the gems are part of the cure, which I think is interesting, then I think that you don't want to substitute. Like they are the thing.
Yeah, and we also talked last week about the dragon maybe turning things into light creatures.
Yeah.
So it would be really cool for a way for somebody to come back from being a Glassjaw somewhere in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not helpless for them.
Yeah. So Athers is saying some sort of an escort mission to deliver Fibrum to the city unless you come into contact with the cure and the people developing it. Yeah. Yeah, there's 35%. Yeah, yeah, David. That moral. I think the moral gray area is definitely like the idea of experimenting, which kind of goes into like oh, some of the great zombie films, right? I Am Legend is a great one as far as that goes, right? This are these people? Are they not? How ethical is it to test on them? How ethical is it to leave them as they are? How ethical is it to kill them? All of these things have weight. So
And they're like zombie creatures. So you're probably having to tie them down or cage them up until you can try these things. This isn't as easy as, hey, try this drug and we'll see if it works for you. If not,
yeah,
we'll talk to
right,
you tomorrow.
right.
So,
Take two and call me in the morning.
yeah. Which would make it much more ethical if you could do that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it's not that easy. So they're gonna have to decide whether it's okay to be pinning these things down and moving
Ooh,
forward.
that's a cool take, though, David. I love that. Like that to me is a really good selling point. That the ones that are cured remember everything. That's a cool feel that like, because that's gonna make, because if the players have encountered glass jaws before now, and then they hit this and they're like, oh, really? Whoa, that kind of changes my feelings on fighting these. They're not just zombies. Yeah.
It's like having a. I mean, you link it to a drug, somebody who has a drug addiction, right? So you link it to somebody who has a drug addiction, and you have somebody who you look at somebody from the outside. If you don't know anyone who's ever had a drug addiction, you're like, why don't you just stop doing these drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this zombie who has that you look at him as just this evil thing. This glass jaw is this evil thing until you have dealt with it and you realize that these are people that have lost something, and then you look at that from a different tinted lens, I guess.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, we got something new this week. We got something new and exciting, and I am going to share it. I don't have Zach's permission yet, but I'm going to share it anyway.
Do it. It's all good.
We got these cool stickers. Can't see if everything's on a slight lag. I got to pull up. Oh, there they are.
Yes. They look great. Uh, so those stickers are going to be. They look awesome. We've got about. I think. What did we end up with? 100 of them.
Got
So
100 of them. Probably end up with more because I'm a sticker guy.
yeah. But those are going to be part of our Kickstarter. Some of the perks for the Kickstarter upcoming in about a month is you can get a sweet sticker.
Yeah, less than a month now, and it's starting to get scary.
Yep. Okay, I got my mountains built.
Mountains are built.
Yes, the Northern
They do
Crown.
look good.
Northern Crown is what they're called. Oh, delightful.
So, we have these glass jaw that are not animals. They remember everything. They are super thankful. They are. Is there any downside of them being glass jaws at one point?
Well, I think that there's definitely a traumatic experience. I think remembering everything means that you remember the hunger, you remember the insanity, you remember the depravity, you remember all of that. And now you
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with those memories. So it's a bittersweet thing. I mean, it's definitely a good thing because you're helping them,
Yeah.
but it's it's kind of a now we have to help them some more. We have to get them the help to get through these traumatic experiences. Yeah. Yeah. Everything that you did, even though you weren't in charge of yourself, is gonna mess with you. Cool. Awesome. I feel like we're feeling pretty good. How do you feel about that, uh,
Yeah,
Thomas? You feel good
I
about
like it.
Tribune?
Do we want to come up with a name? Does anybody have any name for this city that oh, we did the name. Sorry.
Yeah, unless
It's been
people
no,
feel different.
it's been a long week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just had that in my head that we were going to talk about it, then
yeah.
talked about it and completely forgot.
One of the things that I was thinking about, David says Tribune works for him. Cool. Is that we're naming a lot of cities, but I think some of these regions or kingdoms, as Atheros kind of brought up earlier, could use some names. So, like, um, we're naming Minas Tirith and Osgiliath, but we're not naming Gondor so far. Yeah, and geographical names. Yeah. So there's maybe some of that. So I think Atheros and David and whoever else is in chat, like I've got the big map pulled up here. I'll zoom in a little bit. But if you're like, what would be a cool name for this area, just blurt it out and we'll talk about it. Um, yeah, like the icy plains, for the tundra. Um, Definitely. I can even put that in. Let's see. Let's do something a little bit different.
White Plains is a terrible place in New York, so we're not going to use the White
Ooh,
Plains.
are you sure not White Plains? Because I love that name.
White Plains?
I love White Plains.
I have traumatic stress syndrome from driving through White Plains, New York, in a car at like 17 years old on a 6-lane highway.
Ooh. So we
Yeah,
want.
so White Plains. I don't know if you're aware of it, Zach, or anyone else in chat. I know Atheros isn't from the country, but we are. White Plains is in like right outside of New York City, so it's a little crazy.
Okay, well, if White Plains is out,
No, it's not. Fine with it. I will. And my eyes will twitch a little bit when I see it, but everybody else, if everyone else enjoys it, I'm happy with it.
What about White Dust? I like that, David. What do you think, Atheros, about White Dust? Freezing Plains is also good. I like that one too.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds cool. White Dust.
Okay.
So would it be the White Dust Plains or just White Dust?
White Dust, I think. I think White Dust is a clean title, and it gets. He's saying White Dust, both David. White Dust Tribune. Think about this. What do you mean by both, David? Let's. I want to hear about that real quick.
Oh no, I was fiddling with a mini and I broke the bow off the mini when I was talking on the thing. Silly Tom. Name her the other one. I mean, why not? It could be known as both. Just, yep.
That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I was thinking about, David, is that I didn't like. I'm trying to think about what people around it would call it, but you're right that there's probably a more formal name that like it's been given, and then the name that the people there, the shorthand one. So I'm down with White Dust Plains. Cool. So we'll drop that there, and I'm going to go through when we put this map together for the products. I'm going to go in and get rid of all these text bubbles and put it in a more map.
Yes. Yes,
interesting font.
we're gonna make a copy of this map with everything without the red and make it officially mappy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
Which we honestly should be saving a copy with and without every week, but
it's easy enough. I can go through and tweak it later, but cool. Okay. Maptastic. All right. So White Dust Plains, cool. Any other thoughts? I kind of feel like my shorthand for this gray blob down here has been just the crater.
okay.
I don't know if we want it to be anything more official than that, but like, I know anytime I talk about it, I'm just like, that's the crater.
I like God's Rest or God's Impact or something like that. Something that, I mean, it was definitely called something else. When it was before the crater hit, right? Because this was a civilization down there before the crater hit.
God's Fall, God's Remnants, Titanfall. God's Fall is a name of a D&D stream. Not to say that we can't use it, because it's a good name. But I'd probably say like God's Fall Crater or something like that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to be connected, good, bad, or indifferent with anybody else. Not without approval
permit.
first, at least.
Yeah. Or, yeah.
So.
We got Winter's Claw up here, so we're already connected to people. But
yes. That is super approved, though.
God's Remnants. Titanfall.
Like God's Rest or
God's Crest. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up God's Crest. God Crest. Interesting. I think we're in the right zone. I haven't personally. I haven't seen anything that's jumped out yet, but we're getting there.
I think it definitely connects to the fact that this happened because of the Pantheon, right?
Yeah, I think that's
something.
This name, whatever it is, it's like in Eberron. There was forgive me, but there was a city, Corvair. No, not Corvair. There's a city or a kingdom that used to be in a spot, and then it got nuked, basically, and now it's called the Mournlands. And this is the same thing, where it was renamed because it is no longer the thing that it was before. David's saying it could also be named after the first person to ascend.
Yes. And I have somebody who's written lore, at least for somebody ascending already. I don't know if it's the first person that ascended, but one of my players in the test stream has a grandfather that ascended, a dwarven grandfather that ascended.
Ooh, cool.
His name is Davil Storm something, I think. But that's for another day and another time. Be pretty cool, though, to have that be part of the cool people that have been nice enough to play through for us.
Forebear's Tears. That's interesting. I like Forebear. Doval's Ascent. Yeah.
Well, his last name is Chazacool, so that's not as easy. I clicked on his character in D&D Beyond so I could try to see if something made sense with it. And he is from Clan Chazacool, and that's not as easy to say as I was hoping or expecting.
The Vestige Mountains. That's cool. Pull that up. That's the I love the word vestige.
But his grandfather's name who ascended was Rundal, Rundiol. So that's a strong name.
Say that again.
Rundil.
Okay.
I've thrown that into the chat. That was his grandfather who ascended. It doesn't have to be the vestibule.
Vestibule.
That's messed up. It's funny, but messed up.
Oh, yeah. I actually kind of like the vestibule.
Really?
Yeah, like the foyer,
Yeah.
the doorway. That's cool. Like, that's a cool...
It's just the doorway to godhood, the vestibule.
Yeah, the vestibule.
It's such a dad joke, though, too.
God's doorway. God's porch.
The vestibule is ridiculous.
I like God's doorway. It's a mouthful. Where are you going? Where are we sailing to? We're sailing to God's doorway. Narthex.
Go door.
No. What is Narthex about, Atheros? Is that just a word you like? Because I like how it sounds. Oh, he's got a Wikipedia.
Part of a church, yeah, a Christian church. It's like the place where people.
It's the entrance and the lobby area.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yes. That has all the right. Could we call it Narthex Crater? Is that Narthex Crater?
Yeah, I think it's closer. Like it's the entrance to Ascension. Yes,
Yep.
It would be.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Thank your sister, Atheros. That's a really good word that we would have never found.
Well, yeah, and it's silly because my grandma used to tell us every Sunday that she's like, I'm gonna head to the narthex to hang out with people after church.
That's awesome.
So, she used the word all the time. I didn't think about it until Atheros said something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. That's my new favorite word on this map. So. Sweet.
Does it have a slang name, or is it just Narthex Crater?
I think Eggshell Peaks is its slang name.
Okay.
Or at least that's the other name for it. And yeah, maybe there's different. I think that you could all. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and steal that. I think that the interior here is definitely called the Hollow. I love that. So we'll do that. Hollows. Yeah, it's hollows. That's the better way of putting it. Boom. Sweet. Yeah, maybe the dwarves call it Rundiel's Ascent. Like Atheros was saying. That's definitely something dwarves would be like, nope, we have our own name for it. And it's their way of claiming it in some way, shape, or form.
Is he Are we trying to say that he's the first then?
Well, probably the first dwarf. I think I'm comfortable with saying he's the first dwarf.
Gotcha.
I There's probably some ambiguity about who was the actual first.
Because if there was some mountains here before, it would make sense that dwarves could have lived here beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. David's saying maybe there's a sacred spot where the first person ascended, like holy ground. That's a cool idea. We have some ideas for a place
More
of
like holy
ascension.
moly.
Yeah. We have some ideas for places of ascension in the crater, but that's a really cool idea to add to it. Yeah.
It would be really cool if you had two opposite races walk hand in hand through Ascension to begin with.
So maybe the idea there, David, maybe the myth is one walked and one doesn't, and then maybe the true story is that the two races were an adventuring group or whatever that ascended, but each race has now claimed them as the sole ascended. Yeah, it's kind of a potentially a war or religious debate.
Yeah, I read his message wrong the first time. I thought he was saying that. I thought, David, you were saying that two people went up at the same time together, and that's the absolute opposite of what you were saying.
What about the Fey Wild Woods that's going to take over this whole section over here? What do we feel like it would be a good name for it? Yeah, two people.
Well, I think that the big thing is to. I know the Feywild Woods sort of changes as we go, and this is the home of the Elder.
Yeah.
We won't be doing a ton with that.
Is it just called the Elderwood?
Do they happen to have an academy anywhere? I saw your smile go ear to ear, Zach. As soon as
I was like, is anyone going to catch that it's already a thing? And of course, people caught that it was already a thing. Yeah, Atheros, exactly.
So we have.
What about
I lost my page.
What about Elder Wild? Elder Wilds.
That's a mix. Feels good on the tongue. I like it.
Air Wilds is David's suggestion there. Air Wilds. Wavering Wilds. Eld Wild. I all of these are feeling really good, so I'm gonna turn this over to chat for selection because I can be swayed.
I like the Elder Wilds if I had to pick one of those. Eldwill is shortening for Elder Wilds. I think it's unnecessary shortening on that one, David. I'm not sure. Elder Wilds for Eldwill. Well, yeah, I guess it is shortening the syllable count, but it's not shortening really the length. So where are we? So we are, and we're just talking about the actual wood here, right?
Yeah, because it'll be all this dark gray area or this dark green area. Once we've Once we've
I like the Elder Wild Woods.
that's yeah, an Airweld, Urweld. I really like. If I'm gonna state an opinion, I was I feel like the Eldwild is cool. I like that Eldwild. And actually, I'm not gonna lie, Eldwill is growing on me. Um, Big name for a big forest. Yeah, we don't have anything that's like a big names yet. Everything is kind of short and punchy, other than like Stormtide Union and White Dust Plains. Basically, have that longer feel.
And it's good to have a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, yeah. You
We want to have those longer feels, but we also don't want it all to be crazy, crazy long names like that.
Evershift is okay. I like Evershift. Elder Shift, those are cool. Yeah, David saying Evershift. I like that a lot, actually. I could be swayed by Evershift. And I think the argument there is that these woods are um, unchanging, right? So they've got this, so that everlasting quality is cool. Um, yeah, and then but it's also, yeah, exactly, David, because it's the Fae. There's always that element of chaos, and that's that shift element. So if chat likes that, I'm okay with that. If you're okay with that, Thomas.
I am okay with what most of the time with whatever chat likes. So as long as it's not something crazy, as long as it wasn't like the fun woods or something.
Yeah. Something that Wonder Draft could give us in an update is allowing our arrow keys to move the things up and down by a pixel.
Oh, nice.
Because right now, if you hit the arrow keys, it shifts on your menu here on the left instead of moving your text or your trees or your mountains just a hair. So.
Gotcha.
Hodag crazy. Exactly, Athros. You got me.
a little crazy is fine when crazy is there for crazy reasons, right? But when you're looking for something serious and someone comes up with crazy, then that's a little bit nuts. So
cool. Well, we're doing good. We're almost to an hour, so we're doing awesome actually. A couple things that I think would be really helpful for our writers is if we came over here and named 2 or 3 areas in this section. So let's start with this woods that separates the tundra from the rest of the continent here. What could we name this wintry wood?
that is by near the claw there.
Yeah, let me zoom in. This wood's right here. And it could be named for woods or it could be named for the region itself. It doesn't have to be a descriptor of the terrain. Gondor is not a descriptor of the terrain, it's a description of the nation. That's exactly right, David. Blockade
Forest. What about a different? I don't mind the idea of blockade. I don't really care for the word. What about another word for blockade? What do you think, Zach?
Palisade Forest.
Yes. Now that is
Oh, but David's got it right there. David has it. David's perfect. Wind Shears is really good. What do you think, Athros?
I'm
Wind,
in.
I love Wind Shears. Yeah, yeah. Good call. Good call. I'm just gonna put it in. Easy.
I will need before we wrap up tonight. I'm gonna need you to send me a copy of Winter Draft because we're making so many changes on the actual map.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Normally when we do little stuff, it's not a big deal and we can go an episode or two. But before Tuesday, I want to have these new fun descriptions all put in.
Exactly. Okay, guys. So these next two are important that we're naming kingdoms and not describing the location if we can. The first one is this gnome kingdom right here. The second one is the pirate kingdom down here. These two need names. And let me pull. You know what? I'll shift over here just so see if we have any notes. Oop.
Like there's names for actual pirate strongholds, like Port Royal, Tortuga, but we can't use that one.
Any background on the gnome kingdom? Yes, these are forest gnomes. That's what I was kind of pulling up here, Atheros. These are forest gnomes. They're tinkerers. They have this a really impressive city that's kind of built into the trees here called Revel's Rest. They are a civilized folk, though. Don't think of them as like wild creatures. They definitely are a kingdom that has alliances, enemies, trade agreements, and things like that with other kingdoms. Especially the Stormtide Union down south is one of their allies.
Their biggest. They run. If you didn't know, because you weren't here for it, it's one of our first episodes. They run one of our silliest things on our entire map. It's a restaurant in Stormtide Union called Pickled Pete's.
Yes, it's in City of Solitude too. I believe.
Is it in Solitude?
Yeah.
Is it both, or is there just the one in Solitude?
I think there's probably one of both. There are 8 pirate lords. That is correct, David. And Catherine, I'll tell you this, Thomas. Catherine, I believe, has write-ups on 7 of them at this point.
Ooh.
So we'll be getting some info there very soon.
Woman.
Yep.
I wish I would have been on that call this afternoon. I'd love to hear what she has to say, but I completely understand.
Yeah, that call ended up being very short for a variety of reasons, but we'll do another call soon.
Yeah, no big deal.
8-hold is awesome. I love the name 8-hold. Atheros, we'll see if Atheros has a thought there, but 8-hold definitely is my vote.
Yeah, I'm fine with 8-hold. For the name of the city or the name of the whole area?
The kingdom.
Yeah. I'm like, for the area, that makes sense. The kingdom, that makes sense. But it doesn't truly make sense for the name of any city.
Yeah. 8-hold's cool. Because there's nothing else on this map right now that communicates there are 8 pirate lords. So even though it's redundant because we always talk about them as the 8 pirate lords, on a map it's not redundant.
Correct.
Octave is also cool, like the idea of using another word for 8 Uh, oh, that's fair, Athros. Atold kind of sounds like asshole. Um, yeah, Colville had a really interesting. Are you thinking Octold, David? That's a cool name. Octold. Ooh. Like OCTHOLD. That sounds clean. Me. Let's do it. You know what? I like it. Let's do it. Octold. Glorious. Put it right there. Boom. All right. One more.
One more.
Gnomes.
Name of
Octad Gap.
no.
Octad Grip.
Explain why Octad Grip.
Hmm. Like they are under the grasp of the 8 pirate lords. Hmm. Hmm. I like grasp more than I like grip. Um, it may be a thing. If you want to, Thomas, put that in the Legend Keeper because
Under
just
names.
alternative name because it may be that I just had locked in uh, Octold into my brain a minute ago, and it may be that I'm just having a hard time transitioning. So
I can do that.
we may just need a moment for it to click. This map is looking really good, guys. Like, I know we still got a ways to go, but
I know David's been here for the long haul so far, and Athros hasn't really missed an episode since he was introduced 2 weeks ago. That being said, we've only been doing this for 2 months now. And this is where we are, only an hour or two a week, and this is where we are.
mm-hmm.
So it's looking wonderful. In my humble opinion, at least.
I think Catherine maybe is catching part of this stream. She's messaged a couple things, just not seen. So,
I missed her.
oh, she sent me a PM about it. So, yeah.
Ah.
But yeah. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out here, so you guys can see. Like, it's busy. It's a busy map, and it's only going to get busier because we got some more towns and things to add.
The nice part is that a lot of the busy though will get less busy, right?
Well, so
when we officialize it, it won't have a lot of those town names in bright red and things like that.
right.
So at least it won't get less busy; it'll feel less busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. There's also probably an argument for like a muted color version of this map, like a traditional map, and in that
Earth tones, like paper tones, like. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, and that'll change things. Something around pieces of 8. Oh, that's Catherine. There we are. Right there. Blue basis.
Blue bassist.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, you
She's
could.
changed her name.
She may be watching under somebody else's account.
Gotcha.
Cool. Yeah, pieces of 8 is cool. That I think is slang, right? I think that that's something that, to me, that feels like something that if you were in a conversation, it's something that could be used in conversation. Like, oh, the pieces of 8 are doing this, or the pieces of 8 are doing that. Like, it feels like something that would be used as a reference. 8 crowns is cool. 8 crowns. Because it's kind of a double meaning there, too, right? Eight crowns, I'm willing to put in, at least in the notes, as a possibility. We may not resolve this one, but I like 8 crowns.
Oh, that was 8 crows as I type it out.
Anything, guys, on the yeah, crowns like pirate kings and the possible names of their keeps, bastions. Yeah, if you like 8 crowns, I know this. Good grief. And also, like, isn't there like a crown is a coin, right? In Great Britain,
Is it?
I think.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to show my ignorance. Yeah, it's 100% is. It 100% is. Because they have like crowns and farthings, right?
Okay.
David's saying, "I think you're thinking of a pound." If so, I'm super dumb.
I don't
Money,
know anything about
crown.
English coinage. I don't think coinage is a word either. But I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. A crown is a unit of currency in the Czech Republic, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
Close. You were really
Quarter
close.
pound. Quarter of a pound. Yep. It's also there's also a British crown.
I only know one quarter pounder.
The one with the cheese.
With the cheese.
Yeah, a crown is 5 shillings. There we go. Okay.
You're using all kinds of terms that I have no clue what they really mean. It's like back to what's the Harry Potter currency? Sickles, canuts, all those. Like I understand what you're trying to say, but I couldn't tell you how many of this and of that, or how many, if a shilling is more than a pound, or if it's all French to me.
They're what they call a quarter in French.
Yeah.
Royale with cheese.
That's different. That goes back to the quarter pounder.
Yeah. No, a crown. It says a crown is roughly worth $100.
Wow. 8 crowns is a good day then.
Yeah. Yeah. A day's wages.
Sign me up if we're making 8 crowns a
day. In Czech crowns, $1 is worth 24 Czech crowns.
Oh, so they're not as good as the British crowns.
Yes. What about Crayola crowns? All right. Enough's enough. Yeah, burgers. What are those? At this point, it'll be a long time before I have a burger at the rate things are going. Let's try to get this gnome name, and then I feel like we'll be at a pretty decent stopping point for this stream. We'll have got quite a few names. We did the mountain range. We worked on Tribune. That feels really good.
And Athos, now you can see, or Athos, now you can see the difference between a Tuesday stream when we have our stuff together with a guest, and a Sunday or Saturday stream when we go off and talk about foreign currency for 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, we talked about hodags for an unreasonably long time last time. So
we were also trying to get hodags into the storyline, though.
Fair. It was a reasonable amount of time. Is anything with hodags reasonable?
It's all reasonable. Don't put that on me.
I'm gonna pitch this to you guys. I think that the Gnome Kingdom should be a name, like straight up a name. Not. We can find the reason for the name later, but I think it should just not be tied to a description at all of anyone or anything. It should just be a word that we like.
Getting a pin on for Legend Keeper for some reason.
Yeah, David, I was just thinking about that. I kind of want to steer away from, even though I haven't with some of the adventure writing for names, like, yeah, Spracklands is cool, actually. I like that. That's cool. Sparklands. I actually like Spracklands better. I'm not gonna lie. What I don't want is like Tiddlywinks. Okay. But I think we're on the right trans with like Spracklands or Sparklands even. Or even just Sprack.
Foresty.
Yeah. Like Sprack is a cool word. Trying to think about Sprack and Sea Gnome. Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. So one of the things I was going to bring up earlier when we were talking about like Octold being close to another word is as long as the name is legitimately cool, even if you're this was something Colville was talking about a week ago or so, talking about the fact that just because your players maybe substitute a PC's name or a city's name with something offensive or something crass or something whatever, doesn't mean that it wasn't a cool name, and doesn't mean that they don't think it's a cool name. It's just the thing that people have fun doing, right? It doesn't mean you named it wrong. And I was like, that's such a good statement.
Yeah. Yeah, I played. Have you played Out of the Abyss, Zach? The hardcover from Wizards.
A tiny smidge.
There's a part where you meet a red dragon in one of the underground cities, and his name is Timberchod, and he became Thunderchode pretty quickly for my party.
Yep. Okay.
And,
there you go. Yeah.
And Timberchod is not a bad name, but it was instantly what my players took as instantly what popped into my player's head, and then it never changed from there. Every single time they saw the red dragon, it was they referred back to it.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. Not my call on that one.
What about?
Are you looking for like a name, just like Sprack? Or are you looking for like the Sprack Backwoods or the.
I don't want to. I don't want to put woods or plains
Gotcha.
or forest next to it. This is,
Yes.
um, yeah. The name changed from Cryovane to Crybabe so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Athros, do you like Icespire Peak? I've heard wonderful things about that that introductory mission or adventure. Air. You could just call it something that refers to like green because it's forest. It could be just like jade or verdigris or something just that just means green.
Yep. Atheros, you sold me right. That's the exact right way to sell that adventure. It has everything that people new to D&D should experience about D&D. Dragons, goblins, orcs, and a mana core. Boom. I. What about? I'm looking back through your notes, David. What about Thylin? Just that. Take off the AE on that one. It says THYLYN. Yeah, it's the same thing as the first introductory adventure, which I can't think of right now, but
Lost Mines.
Lost Mines is the same thing, right? Where it's and
And
also the beginning of Storm King's Thunder is very much the same way, where you meet goblins and you meet other things. Viridescent is cool. There you go. I could be down with that.
Verdes.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? We want to take a step back and look. We've got
Thursday in Spanish, right?
Virides, Virides, Virides. Yeah. If we look like at all these names running down the western section, we have White Dust, Wind Shears, something Octold. So making this known place and just a straight up name helps make it not feel like this is the white place, this is the green place, this is the 8 place. So I really like something like this that kind of helps it say no, they had their own naming conventions. Each kingdom, each people had its own way of naming things, and some of them got in, and some of the let's see, choose one dragon. Interesting. Yeah, I can see that. I have a very strong itch to run Sunless Citadel and try to introduce people via that, because I think that looks like a really cool mod. I haven't ever gotten to run it, so that's my.
It's nice that they have those in the Owling Portal book.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I just took my players through White Plume Mountain because I needed something that led up to a different part of my story.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, so I'm like, oh, this is where you've been sent. You've been sent to White Plume Mountain, and they were traveling through the mountains anyway.
Bang for your buck. Bang for your buck. Yawning Portal is the best adventure buy out there.
Yeah, a lot like Salt Marsh. If you're doing those kind of salt, if you're doing water,
coastal,
if you want the same thing but coastal.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've pulled Tails off and ran a module from it several times, and it's always good. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a little something for everyone. There's trap because it's older school D&D, so it's traps and it's a little bit of everything.
Yep. I think my current group is getting ready to do Tomb of Horrors.
Nice.
So.
Actual Tomb of Horrors, or
Yeah, I think we're gonna run it out of Yawning Portal, but we're gonna give it a go.
nice.
I think they're headed there. They got some stuff to do along the way. Um, I like the Forge of Fury, and Yawning Portal is really good for like a dungeon crawl. It's got orcs. It's got orcs and good supply and bugbears. I think if I remember right, in that upper like fortress that they have, that the old dwarven location, and it was really cool. And then once you get down into the caves, it's a really good transition. There's some really cool stuff in those caves, and then to end with the dragon, it's just again it feels very classic, and it gives you all of the right flavor bits, and it's a low enough level thing that you can run new people through it, and they aren't going to feel overwhelmed. Um, it's a really good one.
Nice. So did we come up with something for our gnome city here?
I have put Virides down.
Yeah.
Athros is catching up here. Dungeon the Mad Mage and asking me if we could run that one after they finish Icespire. Yeah, running through new people. Yeah, I would. If it was me, I would run White Plume and see if they love being stuck underground, running through things for a handful of sessions before you tackle something that is literally going to be that for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, the thing is, my players really loved it for the first like 4 levels, and then got a little bored. The question I'll ask is, are your players focused on battle, or do they want some role play in those things too? Because there's a little bit of role play in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but it's a lot of look around a corner and see if there's anyone there and sneak in, and then if I get into a fight and then try to rest, but then get woken up and fight, and then go to the next room and fight. It's definitely fight your way through a maze.
Yeah. I've got a question for the stream as we're wrapping up here. Yeah, exactly, Athros. That's pretty much all of my groups. Love the freedom to go somewhere else if they want to, and White Plume locks them down for a short amount of time. So it's a good testing ground to say, do you like this, before you commit. So the question I have for chat is, I'm working on, and so far no luck, but I'm working on trying to find a way to get some music for the background here on the stream, so we don't have as much dead space. Not that we absolutely need it, but I just thought it would be a good fit. The suggestion was made to me, though, that I could just use the Roll20 jukebox. Barrel is also a great name. I'm going to write that one down. That I could use the Roll20 jukebox and just play some soundtrack music in the background. Yeah, exactly. Tabletop audio, David. That's, I think, what Roll20. Yeah, that's what Roll20 uses. I wanted to get chat's opinion on that before I added it in, though. Should be pretty easy. I think I could do it like in a split second. Yeah. Mountain. Oh yeah, this is awesome. I don't know. Yeah, this is it. Cool. I know that we can use the ones on Roll20. I'll just double check that we are allowed to use tabletop audio for a stream like this. I assume we would be, but I just want to make sure that we're not taking something from someone without giving proper dues.
Yeah, that's super important to me too.
Okay. Guys, it is 9:25, so that means we've been streaming for almost an hour and a half. Feel like that's a good stopping spot. Um, we'll be
So we have
coming.
our big one on Tuesday.
We still have our big one on Tuesday. Um,
What
and
do you want to pick? What we want to do on Tuesday, so people can start thinking about it.
let's see.
I see that we put another sort of outpost there in the top of the edge of the Crown Mountains or the King.
Yeah, that's just a That's just a that just says the Northern Crown. It's just for the mountain range descriptor.
Is it? Did you? I can't see the stream all that well.
Oh, here.
Did you get rid of the? I see the mountains, but did you get rid of the little fortress in the mountains in the
Oh,
top
no.
center?
Yeah, we could definitely work on that one. Yeah. This
So,
one over here. Yeah.
So
I think
there's some other things that aren't Tribune in those planes as well.
David saying explore the Fey Woods, and Atheros is agreeing. I think that's
Okay.
perfectly fine. We can definitely do that.
One of the things we do need to explore is there is a giant civilization on the islands there in the lake
right here, folks.
that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
These islands are up for grabs, and they're going to become super important in my adventure in the Fae there.
Cool. Yeah, let's plan on Feywild, or as we're calling it now, the Evershift. Let's talk about the Evershift. Let's talk about the Fae that live in there, and let's talk about these islands. Excuse me. These islands that have giants living on them, and we'll make that Tuesday. So cool, guys, and then maybe we'll dive back into the Aarakocra city, Atheros, in the northern mountains. Maybe next weekend, if we can plan that far ahead.
Yeah.
So
or in 2 weeks, or whatever it may be.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Yep.